of board members are held by women, and 31% of museum directors are women, but that number actually jumped in 2012 when they started including the smaller regional museums. And so I went home and counted the London top 10 museums ranked by attendance, and there are 2 women directors that I could find, one at the War Museum and one at the Horniman. But there is some good news. In 2014, auction prices are breaking records. This was a headline story in ArtSpace recently, because Joan Mitchell has broken the record for the priciest woman artwork. That's 11.9 million. We all know where men's art prices are, so I don't need to say that. And the other bugbear that I have is that we continue to do this even in current art world. Just yesterday, I received 2 emails. One from Scope Basel and one from Art Basel. In the Scope Basel, supposed to be the contemporary side of Art Basel mailing, they had 20 works of art featured, only 2 of which were by women. And literally, simultaneously, Art Basel has a parcours where they invite major artists to make a site-specific installation. Out of 15 artists, 2 were women. So this continues to this day. And so I am involved in raising awareness by art by women just because I think we all need to consider why is this going on and what are the multiple factors going on. And to do that, I have made up a chart, which I'm sure you art historians will have fun with, but what makes great art and great artists? The wording has gotten very small, but it's, can an artist find a gallery? The gallery at the same time is trying to find a great young artist, but they're trying to find art that sells. So that interacts with who calls it great art. And those are the teachers and the curators and the publications. And are they talking as much about the women artists as the men artists, and why? Literally, we patrons who are buying art. Are we buying the art that's going to sell and get a high price, or art that we buy that we love and value, and what are the trade-offs there? Why? And the museums, who is holding the shows of which museum? Sometimes you can have an amazing show, like the Tate just had, of Salawa Raouda Koucher, an unknown Lebanese artist, and she had none of that. She didn't have a gallery, she wasn't in publications, and she was found and she was fabulous, and it was a fabulous show. But those are one-offs. More likely, you need to have the woman who has had all of the other interactive networks. And then finally, there's auction success. You know, who is getting the high prices at the auction? And I refer back to the prices made by Joan Mitchell. So that is why I'm in there. And just as a funny, interesting thing, I think underlying it, we just have some systemic biases that we need to think about and be aware. I come from the business world, and literally, they have just published an amazing study where they gave a pitch for a new business to different groups of people and blind analyzed into which would you invest. And investors will invest in attractive men's companies. Men over women and attractive men over normal men. So we have a systemic bias in what we like. And we just need to think about that, and what are we doing about it? Thank you, and if anyone wants to hear about NIMWA, come talk to me afterward. Thank you, Dawn. Thank you.
Thank you, Beth. And now, Jill, talking about Newhall.
Hello. Hi, everybody. I'd like to reiterate once again the thanks to Pinta for allowing us all to be here on behalf of Newhall Art Collection. Okay. So it's quite appropriate, really, that I'm following Beth's talk there, as I'd like to introduce to you Newhall Art Collection, which is housed in Murray Edwards College in Cambridge. We are the second largest collection of all female art, following the collection in Washington. And just to really put this in perspective, the collection has a growing body of 450 plus works. So the second largest collection has a tenth of the number that Washington has. So that just really shows the statistics we're dealing with once again. The collection comprises many acclaimed artists, and I'll come on to talk to about a few of these in more detail later on. So Newhall Art Collection is set in the grounds of Murray Edwards College, which is one of only 2 surviving female colleges in Cambridge University. And this setting reflects and enhances the ethos of the collection, as both the collection and the college are exclusively female spaces. Both collection and college refute the assumption that art and academia more widely are gendered activities. The Newhall collection has experienced unexpected success and dynamism despite limited resources and funds, which is also the case with the college. So I'd just briefly like to talk to you a bit about the history of the college itself. Newhall was, it's now called Murray Edwards, originally called Newhall, was founded in 1954, and it was the 3rd foundation for women students in Cambridge, at a time when Cambridge had the lowest proportion of women undergraduates of any university in the United Kingdom. Until then, only Girton and Newnham, 2 other colleges at Cambridge, would accept women. And the college began with only 16 students. But in 1964, it rapidly expanded, and increased admissions meant the site had to move from the original site, which was in South Cambridge, to the current site in the north of Cambridge. As I mentioned earlier, the lack of funding meant that the walls were sparsely covered, which I'm sure if any of you have been to Cambridge and you've been to any of the more famous colleges will know that this is not the case with many of those colleges, which receive handsome donations and often have some very incredible works of art on their walls. In 1986, this piece of work by Mary Kelly, Extase, inspired a new initiative, which was to start an all-female collection of art in the college. The idea was to ask for donations, so the gallery would be based on a gift economy, which is still survives today. At the time, the 75% success rate of this initiative shows just how many women were keen to be involved in the collection, and also how little opportunity there was for women to exhibit at the time. Recently, the college celebrated its 60th anniversary, and a painting by Paula Hego was done to commemorate this. So today, the aims of the collection are to continue building a collection of work by women artists of international quality and interest, to enhance and convey the social and political as well as cultural and intellectual aspects of art, which indeed is reflected with the setting of the collection as part of Cambridge University, and to offer encouragement and opportunities for young women artists. So the art itself